What's going on, bro?
Nothing much, man. How's it going?
So good. About yourself?
I can't complain, man. It's been a busy day, but at least it's not boring.
Yeah, dude, that's what I always say, man. Better busy than bored, bro.
You should put that on a t-shirt. I'd buy one.
Heck yeah, dude. Maybe I will. Better busy than bored. Listen to the Beyond Rad podcast.
Good
Oh
work.
man, yeah, dude. That'll be the way to go. Well, dude, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, real quick, just to kind of kick things off, I always like to just start out with, a quick introduction of yourself, kind of elementary school style, tell us who you are and something unique about you.
Yeah. So my name is Sam, and I'm in fourth grade.
Oh, man, perpetually there. And just like Billy Madison, man.
I don't know who Billy Madison is. Can you enlighten me?
Oh, am I that old? Have you seen like Adam Sandler movies, like the old school Adam Sandler movies?
I have not seen a lot of them.
Oh, okay. Well, Billy Madison, he's a really rich kid. Adam Sandler plays the character. He's a really rich kid, just spoiled out of his mind. And I believe his dad dies, and he's supposed to get the company, but he dropped out of school in like second grade or something. And so he's just, he has to go through and do all of his primary education in order to actually get the company. Anyway, funny movie. I would recommend watching it. It's a good one.
All right, I'll put it on my list. So interesting. Okay, yeah. So Billy Madison, perfect. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, yeah, let's obviously jump into to South State, because one of the cool things, I first off commend you. The songs are sick, and Ollie Baxter's been on quite a few new songs lately, and his voice is just super dope. So it just fits really well with the music you're releasing. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the project. I know obviously about the music that you've released thus far, but let's kind of jump into it and talk a little bit about South State.
Yeah, man. So I think genre-wise, I'm trying to draw in a lot more of my personal influences. So I listen to like a lot of R&B, real chill stuff, and so I don't know if you can kind of hear that, but it's a lot more
Definitely.
laid back than a lot of the other kind of garage punk. And if you listen to like some old South State stuff, it's a bit more hard. And
Mm-hmm.
so this stuff is pretty laid back, especially like everything going on last year. Just me personally, I've definitely chilled out quite a bit.
Heck yeah, dude.
So yeah. So what else do you want to hear about the band?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was actually one of the big things that I noticed was obviously with the type of music you make, it's kind of genre bending, right? There are a lot of kind of pop punk roots to it, but what caused like the shift from a little bit harder sound into, you know, like the sound that you have now? It's cool because one of the things that I really like is the album art really jives with the vibe that you're trying to get. So like it's like a whole story, it's a whole thing kind of packaged into one. But what kind of inspired that change?
Well, thank you, man. I think every artist wants to hear that they're genre bending, so that I'm gonna put on my T-shirt.
Heck yeah, dude, do it.
But yeah, so I think the main inspiration behind this whole record, there's a 3-track EP that's been working on. So the first one came out I think in August, and then the second one with Ollie came out a couple weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got another one coming out a couple more weeks, and so like
Heck
about
yeah.
6 weeks. And so kind of like the process of that was as I'm getting older, like I don't know how old you are. You sound about like you're my age, but like friends that like I had like in college, and they kind of are moving away and getting their own lives, and so kind of this like middle-aged masculine isolation, and so that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I've been processing, especially with being on lock for a whole year. Like you're alone with your thoughts, and so the music kind of began to encompass all these other things that I was like, um, genres of music I was hearing. Spotify is great. I love like going through my Discover Weekly, and it's always stuff
Yeah.
that I would not have found otherwise, but I totally dig. So a lot of that.
Heck yeah, dude. And where are you based again?
I'm based in Dallas,
Okay,
Texas.
awesome. Yeah, so you're like I don't know much about like the music scene in Dallas. I lived in Houston, and it was just a modge podge of music down there. But like, what are some of the inspirations that you? So there's kind of like a two parts to this. Obviously, when you first started with a slightly different, a slightly different style, obviously, than what you're doing now. When you first started, who were some of your inspirations? And like, as you've evolved as a musician, who are some of the inspirations you're pulling from right now?
You asked some really good questions, so thank you. So the Dallas music scene is surprisingly lively. I grew up in Houston, and so it's funny that you live there
Which
too.
part, dude? Which part?
I grew up in Spring.
Oh, heck yeah, dude. I was on the south. I was in Sugarland, so
Okay, okay, I had some friends out there. Cool,
yeah.
small world.
Yeah, dude, that's
Um,
awesome. That's so funny.
so yeah, Dallas surprisingly it's got a live music scene. There's a lot of punk emo bands that are doing some really cool things here.
Heck yeah.
Would you mind rephrasing your question or repeating your
Oh
question?
no, yeah, of course. Sorry, I caught you. I obviously took you off guard by asking you which part of Houston you're from. So that's my bad. But no, I was just curious, like, when you first started, some of the inspirations that you were pulling from, some of the things that inspired you to start South State, right? But then as you've evolved as a musician, how have the inspirations evolved along with you? Like, who are some of the new ones that you're inspired by?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think when I started, I was really, really into some of the harder punk, like Story So Far. I cannot think of any other bands off the top of my head. Like Real
Movement,
Friends, like
real
sort of that,
friends.
like
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
movement, exactly. Fall Out Boy Issues, and so a lot of harder music. And then I don't know if you've noticed, but when the 1975 dropped their couple records, the entire emo wave started going way more 80s,
Oh yeah,
like
big time.
Grayscale. Yeah,
Grayscale's
very.
new album is crazy good, but so different than what I expected.
Yeah, exactly. It's every time I listen to one of their songs, I'm like, that is not what I thought was going to happen, but I love it. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, definitely. So, I think as that's been happening, it's kind of opened my mind, like, because I've always loved 80s. Growing up, we'd like clean the house to like Queen and something. So,
Absolutely.
kind of there being more acceptance for I guess softer, um, more chorusy, like more synth
Yeah.
emo. I think that's kind of where I was trying to lean. So now, like, I still like a lot of the same bands, but I feel more open to bringing in more of my like R&B and like soul influences too.
Heck yeah, dude. That's so cool. And that's one of the things that I've actually really enjoyed about about the genre in general. There've been a lot of bands that, obviously you've got like As It Is has evolved into kind of the harder side of pop punk, right? But then you've
Yeah.
got like Grayscale went straight like way retro, like almost like mid 90s R&B, like you'd find this at the end of like a Free Willy, But like I love it. Like my brother-in-law, that's his favorite band, and I showed him the album. I was like, I don't know what you're gonna think, dude, but I'm all about it. And he was just like, dude, I'm obsessed. It's freaking amazing. But then like you've got like obviously a lot of these bands, as they evolve and as they grow, the genre just grows. They're not stepping out of the genre, they're just kind of expanding the genre. Even like Water Park's doing the same thing out of Houston, right? Like
Yeah.
that expansion I think is really exciting. And now you're part of that. I think that's really cool. And obviously, like I said, there's a vibe with the artwork that you have. What inspired kind of like the style choice of the artwork? Did it just kind of feel like it fit naturally, or what? Like, because I'm kind of obsessed with album covers, and because there's a lot of thought and things that go into it usually.
Well, thank you, man. I've not met many other people that are into album covers, so it's nice to meet another one.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm obsessed.
Do you have a favorite album cover?
Oh dude, oh man, I love, which one was it? So my favorite album cover is probably actually the Everglow by May. Probably just because I loved the cartoony art style that they had, and the theme played throughout the entire insert of the album. But but I also loved, which album was it from Taking Back Sunday with the naked kid on the street side? It was kind of like had a kind of a sepia filter on it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it was their second album.
yeah, I can't think of which album it was, like what the name of it was, but
Where You
that
Want to Be.
one, yeah, that one, like that one was like always. It just told a huge story, and just the cover itself told a story. So those are the ones that come to my head right now. But I know that there's a bunch of other ones that I'm like, in terms of like newer album covers. I really love Meet Me at the Altar's new cover, where they are in a trophy case and they are the trophies. Thought that was really clever and really well thought out, especially with the genre that they make music in. So yeah, those are some of the ones in my mind.
Oh yeah, I really dig the Meet Me at the Altar one. Um, so I guess behind my album covers, like branding wise, like people really respond to something that's easy to understand, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
I try to like keep all the single covers very similar. And so when I was working on these songs, I was kind of working out like, there's like a seasonality to each song. So for example, I Don't Want to Die Alone is very like wintry. And so, I had to have a blue color scheme. So even in the video and stuff, we were matching that same blue. So like I
Sick.
sat down and like picked out these tones, like color tones, because I'm kind of a color nerd.
I
And I
love
was
it.
like, hey, this is this color, this is this color. And so everything that we made for that album had that same color tone, all the promo pics and the videos and stuff.
Dude, that's amazing. I one of there's I'm kind of a color nerd too. There's literally an Instagram page I follow that on a daily basis they just release color palettes, like a 5 color palette, and I just am like obsessed with like following it.
Do you know what it's called? Because I have to follow that too.
Oh, dude, let me look it up because
Okay.
I can't remember. I remember like thinking to myself, my wife is going to just make fun of me for following literally a color palette thing, and she has yet to find out, but she'll know now, and she'll make fun of me for it. Um, oh man, what is it? I may have to text it to you, but because it's in my Instagram, like, and every time I see colors, I literally like will go to their site and they have this entire like mood board, right? You can basically say, this is the mood that I want to portray. What colors go along with this mood or with this genre, this feeling, and how can I portray that in color? And it's always a 5 color palette. So yeah, amazing.
Okay, I'm excited for you to send that to me. That sounds pretty great.
Yeah, it is. And so, like, that's actually one of the things I noticed primarily with, so I noticed it with Here's to Wishing You Were Here. The I loved the kind of softened colors of the image in the text message. I thought it was really creative to do the text message style. But then I noticed obviously the similarities of the borders and the title in the middle on Fast Cars and I Don't Want to Die Alone. And so was Fast Cars, it was kind of like, hey, I'm going with this kind of burnt orange color due to the season it's being released. What was the idea, like, because you said with I Don't Want to Die Alone, it was blue because of a wintry feel. Was the orange kind of a fall feel?
Yeah, like fall,
Okay,
end of summer. Like sort
got
of the
it.
dying light kind of thing.
Yeah, I love it. And even like you said, obviously it kind of carries through to the image itself as opposed to just the border. There's that tone over the shoes, or that orange tone over the whole image of the car. Just subtle, but it looks really awesome.
Well, thank you. That's very observant.
So what, like, when you were coming up with this whole idea in your mind, what inspired it? Was it like, was there a certain thing that you saw that you're just like, I love how that looks, that style? Or was it just like, because like cars and shoes, like the fast cars obviously makes sense to have an old school muscle car there, but like the shoes and stuff, like what inspired, did you take the photos? Or I guess it's kind of like a multi-part question, sorry about that.
No, you good. Okay, so on the first part, what inspired? So I think one of my like themes that I write pretty frequently about is consumerism. Like we're really, really hardwired to want to buy fast cars and wear nice shoes. Nikes are nice shoes, but they're expensive. Like so
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
we're definitely hardwired into like appreciating those things. So that's one of the like the lyrical motifs I was working through on this record.
Heck yeah.
And so kind of like showing like these things, but also like sort of like in some sort of state of decay. Like an old muscle car. It's not the 2022 Chevy Camaro. It's a old
60s or
Cadillac.
70s, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cadillacs are awesome,
Heck
but
yeah.
so that's kind of like the idea there is just like finding an image that encapsulates like the theme of the song, right?
Mm-hmm. And obviously, like the style of it has been carrying through since what, maybe next year was the first one
Hmm.
you released with the consistent border around it with the title in the middle. When you initially came up with that idea, did you intend on carrying it throughout all the singles?
I didn't actually. That's a good question. So I'm Asian American, and as an Asian American, it's like you don't find a whole lot of things that represent you, and so I wanted to throw some cherry blossoms in the album cover for maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I found that picture of cherry blossoms, and then got permission to use it, of course, and then kind of spent a while trying to work on a way to make the picture work with an album cover, because like it wasn't as intuitive as it sounds like it would be. So kind of the best way I found to do that was to throw the colored background so I could still represent the color for that song while having the image and then slapping that on top with some white.
Yeah. What was the most challenging part as you were trying to like put that together? What made it so difficult?
There's like a lot to consider whenever you are making an album cover. I know since you put a lot of thought into album covers that but it's like the border was too small, the border was too big, the
Yep.
the text was too thick, the picture was too bright. It's like just tweaking tiny little things to figure out what's gonna make me feel like I'm capturing the vibe of the song the best.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, it's so fun to me when it's a cohesive feeling. Um, I was joking about this actually in an interview recently. Like, you're told to never judge a book by its cover, but I'm like, I can almost always judge an album by its cover. Um, I can know whether it's going to be in the realm of music that I will enjoy just based on the cover. Um, and so it's fun to me when like to hear kind of the story behind it, because it does kind of cement my opinion. It's always nice to have
Mhm.
something that reaffirms what you think, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And when you first started South State, was it like, is this like a solo project? Did you have a band backing you as well?
Yeah, when I first started, I had two friends that were making music with me, and with this last record, they kind of moved on and wanted to do other things with their life, and so that's kind of part of the lyrical motifs and like themes that I was kind of working through.
Yeah.
So,
And did you go to college for like creative a creative um degree, or what did you go to college for?
that's a good question. So I went to college for psychology. So I basically paid a lot of money to overthink things.
Oh man, that's awesome. Where'd you go?
I went to Tech in Lubbock.
Oh, nice, man. Tough year as a football team, but whether you care or not, I don't know.
They're always having tough years. It's not surprising.
Well, isn't that where Mahomes played? Isn't he at Texas Tech?
He was like the bright star in Texas Tech football. The all the years I went there, like anytime when he started, it was like, "Whoa, we're great," and then he left, and it was like,
Yeah, that's amazing. I every time, so I'm from Utah, and every time we came back to visit family and stuff, because I'm living in Utah again now, but when I was living down in Houston, Lubbock was like our first hotel destination where we'd stop and stay, and that town is just, it's a city in the middle of nothing. It's just like in the middle of nowhere. Like, what? It's crazy.
it's definitely something different, and it kind of catches you. Like when I first moved there, growing up in Houston, I was like, man, this town is like there's like nothing to do. And then eventually it grew on me, like the late night drives, like where there's nothing going on, just occasionally red lights. It's really I don't know, peaceful.
Those windmills on the way into the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's something about them.
Yeah, I mean, every time we went there it was dark, so the windmills, just seeing the lights flashing and just slightly seeing the things spinning. I mean, there is something peaceful about, like, and also like in Houston, you're never seeing stars. You see a lot of stars in Lubbock.
Exactly, exactly.
So what brought you to Dallas?
My wife's family lives down here, and we wanted to move. I was dying to move back to a big city, so it kind of was the right place.
Heck yeah, man. That's super cool. Does your family still live in Houston then?
No, they live in Florida now. They move
Oh,
around a lot. So
okay. Hey, to each their own. I love moving. We like My wife and I have lived here for like 3 years now, 3.5 years, and I'm like kind of itching to move again, which is weird. We just had moved so much throughout our marriage that I was like, man, I wanna find a new place, like start a new adventure again, you know?
so where would you guys move if you grabbed your stuff today and packed up? Where would you go?
Probably Charlotte, because her
Charlotte.
sister lives just outside of Charlotte, and then one of my best friends lives in North Charlotte. So, it's beautiful out there too. I don't know if you've been to the Carolinas, but it's freaking amazing out there.
No, what's it like out there?
Oh, dude, it's so there's huge, like, I always grew up like, the huge wooden telephone poles, like I'd never seen the trees that made those, right? But in North Carolina, they're so thick that, like, I remember when we were out there, like, you'll be driving down the road and like your GPS tells you, hey, turn here to get to whatever store you're going to, and you're like, dude, there's nothing here. You turn, and then all this stuff opens up. You're like, how in the world was that hiding in plain sight? And it's just because these trees are so thick and the forests are beautiful, the skies are like really clear, and then you've got the Appalachian Mountain range right there, which is absolutely phenomenal. One of the prettiest. Like, I live in the, like, right next to the Rockies, right? But man, like, the Appalachian, because of the greenery, it's just phenomenal out there.
That sounds great. I'll have to take a trip out there sometime.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I went to Charleston this summer for our summer vacation. I would recommend Charleston, if especially if you like history, or like, because it blew my mind. I was like, wait, Charleston is older than the entire United States of America, right? Like, because it was a city in the original territories, right? And it just like blew my mind.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. Anyway, back to your music. Obviously, this isn't about me. um, with the new release, it looks like you've obviously had a few people like featured on your music in the past. But what was it like working with Ollie from Broadside?
Oh man, he is. I was a little bit starstruck. And like when you're working with someone that you like, I remember jamming his stuff. I was working in the kitchen in Lubbock, and I heard his song "Coming on Pandora," and that should tell you how long ago it was because I was
Mm-hmm.
listening to Pandora.
Yeah.
Coffee Talk, and I was like, this song is so great,
Oh
and
yeah.
so fell in love with him, and working with him, now like I was just so like nervous, and he's just one of the sweetest, like most humble, down to earth people.
That's
Super
so
talented
cool.
too. Like sent his tracks and they were like fantastic, and so yeah.
That's awesome. Do you self produce, or do you go to someone there in Dallas?
Yeah, so I started learning this last year on lockdown, how to like record music, and
Mm-hmm.
so this record is all the stuff that I started like recording on my own, and then at the end of the process, because I'm not like super amazing yet, like, so I went down to my friend in Austin. His name's Luke. He owns a studio called Black Room Studios, and they do really great stuff like with Rain Check, Gold Steps, Dozer, bunch
I've
of
heard of Dozer, yeah.
yeah, okay. Bunch of bands that are kind of on the come up. So I went down there and then retracked the vocals and some of the guitars, and then he mixed it for me. So
Dude, that's sick. And as you've been learning, what are some of the things that have been really like kind of eye opening for you,
how much time,
dude?
like hour time, it takes to get something that you're happy with?
Oh yeah, I can. How much time, like, if you were to, like, let's take, I Don't Want to Die Alone. You were to track that and mix it yourself. What kind of time would you be looking at?
So if I had a band coming in to my little home studio, I could probably track them in like 16 hours, right? And then mix it in like, 8 hours or something like that. But for
Okay.
me, like, because I'm obsessive about it, I don't know, it took me like 3 or 4 whole weeks of like working nonstop. So it was a while.
That's amazing though. And what is it that like ends up taking the most time? Because I'd imagine like as you're tracking it, there's you're gonna find potentially imperfections in that process, but then also as you're mixing it, you're trying to find the right compression, the right EQ. What process is like the most challenging?
I think because I'm the least experienced at it, I think mixing specifically like figuring out like finding your tones is pretty easy, but like making everything sit nicely in the mix. So like once you got your guitar sounding great, how does that sit with the bass? So that takes me the longest because I'm still learning it, and like as you're learning, it's like, okay, let me tweak this compressor. Like, what if I change the attack this much or this much? And you're listening to the whole thing again and
Yeah.
again. So it takes a while. And then vocal takes, like I'm super perfectionist about like, did the tone sound right? Did my phrasing sound right? Like, are the notes where I want them to be? So like I'll run those, I don't know, probably weeks at a time just till I get where I want them to be.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's actually probably one of the biggest things I've learned as I've been doing this podcast is I've learned how much truly goes into the process of writing, recording, releasing music. Just like like you just said, a 3-minute song, 16 hours of tracking, 8 hours of mixing, um, and that's on like a pretty base scale, right? Like
Hmm.
that's for a 3-minute song. Now you multiply that by the number of songs in an EP, and then you add all of the kind of the transitions, right? You want it to sound nice between songs. You want to choose the order of the songs. You want to get the album art to fit with the feeling. Like there's so much that goes into this whole thing to make a finished product that a lot of times I feel sad about the fact that like without a physical release, there's sometimes people who don't notice all of the cool intricacies that go into an album art and into things like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good observation. There's a lot of hours of self doubt too. You left those out.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even thought about that, man. What is it like? I'm actually always really curious about this one. Like when it comes to the self doubt, what is it that keeps you trucking along? Like what gets you motivated?
It's gonna sound kind of cheesy, but it's something I struggled with on this record was like, am I good enough to put out music by myself? Like I'd always, had my friends that telling me like, the song is great. Let's work on it. Let's do this. I believe in this. And so having to believe in it yourself was like I was like so much like, is this good enough? Like, is this have I thought this out enough? And you know, I think probably the best thing I did was just to put it out there, like to tell myself, nothing's ever going to be perfect. This is like a snapshot of where I am as an artist. And if I've made it, it's time to release it, rather than getting
Mm-hmm.
hung up on making it perfect.
Heck yeah, dude. I one of my favorite creators, a YouTuber, Peter McKinnon. He he's not obviously the first one to ever say this, but he was the one that kind of motivated me with a lot of things. Was he's like perfect is the enemy of done, you know, and it really stood out to me because it's like the moment that you expect perfection, nothing ever happens.
Yeah, that's a great quote. You put that on a t-shirt too.
I know, right? And we're just popping out t-shirts right here, man. We're just like a factory, And just out of curiosity, um, a psychology major, musician, where did it all come together for you? Like how did you make the choice? All right, I'm going to pursue music and make this thing happen.
um I decided in college I was going through a lot. Like I was really like estranged from my family because they moved around a lot, and so I felt like abandoned, and for whatever reason, I was like 17, 18. I was, you think you know best. And so
Yeah.
kind of the one thing I found like a home in was music. And so, there was like a couple nights where I was like really, really, really trying to decide what I wanted to do because like I had no idea, you know. And so I sat down and one day I just was listening to this. What is his name? Well, my brain just fried. Cole. His last name is Cole. He's a rapper.
Oh,
J. Cole.
J. Cole.
J.
Yeah.
Cole. Yeah, I was listening to one of his tracks and I was like, man, I love music. I want to like make music and I want to do it seriously. And so that's kind of where that happened.
That's awesome, man. And genre, just kind of, you just went with whatever felt right.
Yeah, I've always been really into punk. Like since like I heard my first Fall Out Boy track and Sugar We're Going Down on the radio and I was like, this is great. So that's always been like natural. Just kind of the way I think about music and write.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, influenced with R&B, although my musicianship was not good enough at the time to make really good R&B. So as I've gotten better, it's gotten more R&B.
Yeah. What's the, like, technically, what are the differences that you've developed, like the skills that you've developed that made it possible for you to kind of incorporate this R&B into your music now?
Okay, so Johnny Craig style runs because he's a terrible person, but that's the one thing he can do is he can sing.
He's a great vocalist. I could agree with that.
Thank you. Yeah. So he's really really soulful. That's a lot of it, and then jazz chords. I don't know how musical you are, but like seventh and ninth chords, like just like throwing those in there makes everything sound so soul.
Okay. I my I did music all the way through like 8th grade. I did clarinet and then I switched to choir. So I know a bunch of stuff, but I don't know a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool though, man. And did you just learn that stuff like from self-study? Did you take classes on it? What did you do to learn these new skills to incorporate?
Just learning stuff that I liked, kind of imitation. So like, like Johnny Craig or Tyler Carter just trying to sing like that. And then like chord wise, just like sitting down and figuring out what chord makes that sound. Like, you hear like a fantastic song. Like I don't know if you know any current artists like Keshi is amazing. So I'll sit down and just play by ear, try to figure out what he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess that's probably why it took so long. But after a while, you can kind of figure out, okay, this is that phrasing of that chord.
Yeah.
This is how I want that chord to sound like, and build it.
So why not like a full jump to R&B or like a like what how do I word it? Because it's like obviously, like you said, your roots are in pop punk and in punk rock music, but a lot of your influence now is really more soulful. So why stick to pop punk? And I don't mean that in like a gotcha way. Like I'm just genuinely like, as you made the decision to rather than abandon, rather than do that, than to incorporate instead.
That's a really good question. You ask good questions. So I think the really cool thing about music is that when you're writing or listening, if it's your Spotify playlist or the album you wrote, it is an expression of like all the parts of you that are you. And so the parts of me that make me unique are, like I'm a teacher now. I teach 4th grade.
Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
Thanks. I'm the only teacher there that's wearing skinny jeans and Timbs and like a backwards cap. Like
Love it, dude.
You are you. And so like when you're making music, you gotta drag in all the things that influence you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's kind of dishonest if you just choose to make something that doesn't represent all the things you love. And I guess there are other people that think much differently about that, but that's just me.
No, it makes sense, man. And it's funny, my brother-in-law, who's Grayscale is his favorite band. He's actually an elementary school admin. He's a vice principal, and he's like, dude, when people hear things like we'll go to a concert and he'll go back to the school and he has to wear his like nice shirt and tie and stuff. He'll be talking about the punk rock concert he went to over the weekend and people are just like, who are you?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. But dude, I think that's really important too, like the idea of trying to incorporate all the facets of who you are, and like even what you mentioned with that initial album art, the maybe next year album art, incorporating your Asian American roots. Like is that something that you're constantly thinking about, is how to blend all these things together? Is that like kind of where your mind is constantly at?
I think about it pretty frequently. Like when I'm writing music, it's more like, okay, this song is cool, but I want to go in this direction. Not so much consciously, like I need to add 32% R&B and 24% more punk, but like, does it fit for this song? Like, what's the feeling I'm trying to capture? So I guess a lot of it's just by feeling rather than conscious thoughts.
Heck yeah. And you obviously mentioned the chord progressions was a big way for you to incorporate that soulfulness into your music.
Mhm.
Did that naturally then change the tone of the like the instruments or the tone of the amplifier that you're trying to use as well, or did you keep those things and then just add the chords to the top of it?
Well, that's a really good question. Yeah, so like jazz chords, because they're so like built. For example, like if you have like a seventh chord, it's got the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. Whereas like metal bands, sometimes like even those like really heavy drop tune ones, like it's just like a single note, just because like there's so much like distortion and saturation on that single note.
Uh-huh.
So like when I'm using these like more fleshed out chords, I can't go as distorted because it sounds really really messy rather
Yeah.
than full, right? And so it has caused like a lot more of clean guitar tones to happen on the album. Caused, that's a weird way to put it, but anyway, so like I have to go a lot more clean when I want to use busier chords, right? So I guess that's the reason this album's a lot softer than my other stuff, like sonically,
Yeah.
the busyness.
That makes sense because I some of those seventh and ninth chords, there's a little bit of dissonance there
Yeah.
between the notes. When played as a chord, sounds great, but yeah, you kind of I can imagine when you add that distortion, it probably does messy it up quite a bit.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you?
And
I'll go
oh,
on.
go ahead.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. What were you saying?
okay, so sorry. I heard this quote the other day and it was like, you got to give it space to breathe. And so that's been in my head for the last 3 or 4 days. But yeah, so, got to give it space.
When just to build off of that, when you think of that phrase, is that like, because I don't know if you watch much YouTube or anything, but I recently watched a video of, I can't remember the guys' names, but it's two guys. One's an Asian guy and one's a white guy. They made an entire album in one day in 12 hours together, um, and just blew my mind. Right, like they did a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different things that they put together, and one of the things that they said was, "Yeah, let's just let that breathe right there." And when I heard that, I was like, "That changes everything." When you pull back a little bit, it just kind of oddly accentuates things, right?
Yeah, and I think that's a hallmark of like good musicianship, is like knowing when to take a breath and let like the space and the silence breathe. Sort of like a good conversation.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. And as you've developed that in your music, what are has that influenced the way that you write? Like obviously it influences it sonically, but as you write like lyrically, do you incorporate that same thought process into like the song, the lyrics as well?
And yeah, it's definitely a give and take between the music and the lyrics. So like if the music is breathing, a lot of the times you want the lyrics not so much to breathe.
Yeah.
So I guess like making sure that there's a space, especially since I write the lyrics and the music. I know a lot of people do one or the other. So just making sure that there is that give and take between the two. Like if you want the music to build here, then the lyrics need to breathe, right?
Mm-hmm. And as you are, sitting down, writing these things and playing that out, is it all just by feel, or is there are you kind of referencing kind of here is what musically, historically, this is what you should do, quote unquote, in this type of song? Do you ever consider that, or is it all just how you feel about it?
As a punk musician, I think I'm legally obligated. I think I signed a contract to say that no, I don't follow tradition.
Legally obligated, I agree.
So if I say I do, then they'll take away my punk card. And I can't have...
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it's fun to me to think, to realize that there are a lot of classically trained musicians who, things kind of play out the way that they play out because that's what the industry says to do or whatever. But I love the idea of someone who just takes it and genuinely just goes off a feel. And I can, a musician that I think of who's classically trained who does that phenomenally is like John Mayer, right? Like someone who who just truly understands. Yeah, he understands obviously all of the technical side of the music, but he's also he just has a knack for the feeling of how the music should feel. And there's just something different about that than someone who just puts it together the way that it, quote unquote, should go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's a fantastic musician.
Oh yeah, dude. He blows my mind. I need to see him live. He's one of the ones that I haven't seen live, but I would love to.
He's on your concert bucket list?
Yeah, dude. I've got a few bands on there that I was about to knock one of them off this couple months ago, but they got COVID, so they didn't show up. It was Less Than Jake, but bummer.
Oh, really? You missed them?
Yeah, because I saw Newfound Glory, and another one that was actually on my bucket list. I saw them, Hot Mulligan, and Less Than Jake. One of the guys in the Less Than Jake camp got COVID, so they missed the date in Utah. And I was like, no! I was so excited for that show.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Do you have a favorite Hot Mulligan song?
Oh, dude. I think it's just because it's front of mind. I really love their new EP that they released. And I think, I'm obligated to say that it's, featuring Mark Hoppus, just because the name, the song is fantastic, amazing. But then just the title of the song just makes it so much better since Mark Hoppus isn't on the track.
I love how Mulligan. I think it's How Do You Know It's Not Armadillo Shells.
That's one of their earlier songs, isn't it?
I'm not sure when it came out, actually.
Dang, man. So the first time that I was introduced to them was that record they released in 2020? The one with the dog and the headless. Oh, yeah. That
Invisible Boy? Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah. That album just blew my mind. And ever since then, I've been a big fan of theirs. So,
I love how they bring back the extra long, unrelated emo titles. That's one of my favorite things about emo music.
Yeah, unrelated, like a lot of times nonsensical. You're like, what are you talking about?
Definitely.
If you were to have your your Midwest emo trophy, right? Who would you give the Midwest emo trophy to?
Best Midwest emo band? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, Bill Murray, because this counts, because I think he's from Chicago area-ish. So Bill Murray, definitely.
He's the one who was originally in Attack, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Dude. It's funny, I never listened to Attack, but someone recommended Bill Murray to me, and I was blown away. I was like, dude, what the heck? This is amazing.
It is. I love his guitar tones. They're so hard but soft. It's like a really cool thing he's got going on there. You can hear the clank, like the Strat clank, Stratocaster clank.
Yeah.
But it's so heavy too, and just the way he does not take it seriously is lovely.
Yeah, that's what I loved about it, because that was one of the things about Midwest emo that just always, it was these really amazing guitarists who to put together these crazy licks, and then like, you know, song names that made no sense, and just like having fun. Like that's what I loved about Hot Mulligan. I was like blown away at the way that their guitar players fed off of one another, and then his vocals just like, so I was blown. I don't know how he does that every night on tour. Just blew my mind.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks about that. We went off and saw 4 Year Strong the other day when they came to Dallas, and man,
Oh,
they were
dude.
screaming like they're phenomenal. But I was like, man, that must hurt. Like I bet their
Yeah.
voices do not feel good.
Yeah, and I mean those guys are in their 40s now, you know? Cuz I saw them too, like it was cuz you went to the state champs Real Friends one, right?
Yeah, the Pure Noise tour. Yeah, that was a
Dude,
good one.
blew my mind. I was actually Just Friends absolutely blew me away. Like not music I would ever listen to, but their live performance was phenomenal.
For an acoustic set, I really liked it, and I'm kind of against those, so they had a lot of good stuff about them to make me
Oh, they
buy
had
it.
an acoustic one at yours? It
Yeah,
was a
with the full band there.
it was a full band in Salt Lake. They had their two guitarists, the bassist, and then the two vocalists and their drummer. It was a full party, man.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know they were full band. I'll have to give them another listen because I was like, yeah, acoustic, great. All right, that was good, great.
Yeah, dude. Just try and find a live performance. There was one other live performance I found on YouTube. It doesn't quite hit the spot as well, but they even had some horns in there. It wasn't ska horns. It was like, but it was horns, and it was. I was just like, this band is so unique, and it blew my mind. I did, like I said, I didn't expect it because it's not music I would listen to outside of that venue, but it was music that I would tell everyone about because of how blown away I was at the performance.
All right, I'll add them to my list of things I need to check out. You said Happy Madison, right? Or no,
Uh, no,
Billy Madison.
you just you combine two of his movies because it's Happy Gilmore is his golf one, and then Billy Madison is his is his I don't know how to even explain it, the dropout one. I don't know what like sense of humor you have though, so you may not enjoy it. I don't know.
I'm pretty open. I'm not super funny, but I enjoy watching people be funny. So
Okay, there you go. I mean that works. What, like, thinking about it, I always, typically leave a lot of this stuff for like the very end, but I guess we're getting kind of close. Like, obviously, you just said you went and saw 4 Year Strong. What would be like a live performance that I was talking about, Just Friends, and how I'd share that with everyone? What's a live performance you saw that just like blew you away?
it's a good question. Okay, a while back I saw Silverstein.
Oh, another bucket list band for me.
And it was in Lubbock, so the venue there is like a cap of like 300 people, so it was
Oh,
pretty small, and they were just phenomenal. Like Shane told the singer he can like really sing really well, and they'd like been touring for a while, and his voice still sounded great. Like
yeah,
just there, it was everything was great.
that's amazing. Dude, his clean vocals are some of my favorite vocals just in the, I don't know, are they considered post-hardcore? I don't know what genre they necessarily fit into, but his vocals are, that was the only band that I ever listened to that had screaming predominantly in the music, like for all my high school years. That was the only one I listened to.
But back when it was like they were quote unquote screamo.
Yeah, like Discovering the Waterfront and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Good stuff.
like that was like every other band that screamed, I was like, Dad, get this out of my ears. I don't want this. But that one, I was just like, there was something about Silverstein that just blew me away. And
I
still,
personally go ahead.
I was just saying, and still to this day, they blow me away.
Oh yeah, every time they drop something new, I'm pretty amazed. But I loved his melodies. Like his vocal melodies are super catchy and pleasant.
Real, they are, and his voice is just beautiful. Like I don't know how else to say it. It's just amazing.
See, I'm looking it up now because I can't remember. There was a record I was obsessed with, and it was a while. How the Wind Shifts. That one.
That's the one? Is that the one with the house on it?
It has a buffalo. Yeah, buffalo.
Oh, the buffalo on it. Okay, I know which one you're talking about. I was thinking the burning house one that they have, but that buffalo. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's so funny, dude. I don't know most, like, I remember the covers. I remember the album art, right? Like, like
There
I
you
don't
go.
remember a lot of albums. I just remember the covers from the albums.
Yeah, because I guess you're a visual person, so
I
probably for you,
am.
it's like an expression of the album, like a visual representation.
Mm-hmm. And still to this day, like, Yellow Card's one of my favorite bands, and my favorite album was actually heavily influenced by the fact that I loved the album art, and the album was so different than a lot of their other stuff. Lift a Sail, just phenomenal.
I haven't heard that. I'll put that down on my list.
Yeah,
Let's just say
Lift a Sail. That one's my like it's what's the term, like head and shoulders above the rest, whatever the term is. Like, to me, it's like it's that album, and then every other one is like not even close of theirs.
is the term head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
I'm sure you use that one as with the what, fourth graders are what, 9 years old?
Oh, they love that. They don't let them lie to you. Fourth graders still are into head and shoulders, knees, and toes.
Dude, I believe it. I've got a 6-year-old son, and I know he's not going to grow out of that stuff by the time he's 9. I know it.
My secret is I do it like slow, like head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and then go really fast and then slow again, and that's what they're hooked on.
Yeah, they just kids, man. Kids are the best. They're so much fun. Like, I don't know, man. It takes a special soul to be an elementary school teacher. I commend you. I wouldn't have the patience level that it requires.
It's surprisingly not as bad as people think. People say that pretty often, and I'm just pretty normally patient. Like I'm like an average patience level, and it's not so bad.
Well, I mean, just in our 50 minutes of conversing, I can tell that you're much more like subdued human than I am. Like, I'm all over the place. Actually, I'm sure you could tell as well with the conversation. But that, I think my brother-in-law is a subdued kind of guy. He's very chill. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're good at being an elementary school teacher. I would not, because I'm like way too high energy. And so, like, my wife's like, you are not allowed to play like this before bedtime. We can't wrestle. We can't play Nerf guns. We can't do this stuff before bed because they won't go to sleep.
So
So
you're the fun parent.
I'm the one who is constantly like creating chaos, and my wife is like, "You're worse than the kids," and I was like, I gotta still live. I gotta be happy too.
Exactly. There you go.
Oh man! And you said you're married, right?
I am.
Awesome. And how long you been married?
We got married a year ago in August, so like a year and a half. No, no, not even a year and a month.
A year and a month, dude. Congrats on the first anniversary.
Thank you.
I'm actually, this one is always like fascinating to me too, because for me, I've been married for forever, like almost 10 years. It's amazing. Um, and I got married really young. I was 22, but everything like in my life changed, right, with marriage. So for you, like, what did anything change with like your writing process when you got married?
You know that I know we talked earlier about how like my music has become more like chill and laid back, and I think that's probably a lot to do with it. Just like the sense of like stability and like security that comes from like not like my life was super crazy beforehand, but just like the fact that like now like in my brain I'm like, okay, you're settled down, like settle down. So
Yeah.
I think probably that's part of the processing going on there. What changed for you?
Oh, dude. That stability you're talking about, it made it so I could focus all my energy on my ambitions, and I had a teammate in it. You know what I mean? So like, rather than having to focus on trying to impress someone all the time, I just got to focus on growing with someone, which changed everything.
That's a very good observation. There's got to be a better way for me to say that, but that's deep.
It's it's taken me 10 years to like really grasp how different, how fortunate I am, cuz like, obviously you're going to say the same thing, I hope, that like you're a team now, like you've got someone who's genuinely like in your corner at all times. And it's just like, man, it makes a huge difference when you have that constant moral support. You've got that like no matter what happens, everything is okay. Feeling is really nice.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, dude, like I want to reiterate, I I really dig what you're doing with the music, and I thought one of the funniest things was, so obviously I try to listen through all the music that you have, like on Apple Music, and I thought it was really funny. You had some country covers in there. Was that just something you were invited to do, or is that something you just wanted to do? What inspired the country covers?
Okay, I'm so sorry you had to hear those.
I was just curious because I'm like, it was out of left field, right? So I'm just like, wait a minute, House Party. I recognize the name of that. And then I started listening and I was like, wait a minute. This is like a laid back emo version of House Party. This is really fascinating.
That is so funny. Okay, yeah. So, it's the Lubbock. Like people up there love country. So I fell in love with Sam Hunt. He's like a fantastic songwriter. He really really great melodies and like lyrics are as lyrics goes, but like songwriting, he's super great. And so in college I dug that, and then this local record label, Palm Mute Records, was doing a country compilation,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it ever like ended up coming out or whatever, but I reached out and was like, hey, can I cover this song? And they're like, yeah, we'd love that. So I went ahead and like tracked that and then had my friend Joey mix it. um so the quality is like, just because I was tracking it myself, not like amazing, because I was still working on that. But anyway, so it was super fun for me because like he's like one of my songwriting idols, so getting to do that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just, like I said, it was like out of left field, and I was just, I wanted to make sure I asked that before we stopped talking because I was just like, I don't, maybe, have you ever noticed how like similar pop punk and country are?
Okay, in what ways? What ways do you think?
So any country song, you speed it up just slightly, and make it a power chord instead of like the full chord, like, right, like instead of the G being 3 2 3 3, right, like do the power chord version of G on the 5, or on the, what is it, the 3 and 5.
Hmm.
You do that, and you just strum it a little bit faster. You can include the freaking slide guitar and everything, and then you just make the vocals a little bit more kind of angsty, but still with the same twang, and it fits almost perfectly.
I think there's someone listening right now that is gonna do that, and it's gonna sound really good.
Dude, have you listened? There's dang it, what's his name? Alex Melton on YouTube. He
No,
he
haven't.
does, so he's done both one way and the other way. He's from Ohio, of course. Freaking talented guy, dude. Like blows my mind. But he does, what if um I Miss You by Blink 182 was a country song? Or what if X was a country song, and he does it as a country song, and you realize it basically is a country song.
All right, I'm putting that on my list. I'll check it out.
Oh yeah, you're just gonna have like a huge list of stuff to check out. But
Got some homework, yeah.
yeah, dude, the first time I noticed it, it was a Punk Goes Country was the name of the artist on Apple Music, and I was like, no way, it actually works perfectly. And then I heard a song by The Maine the other day, and I was like, I wonder if they realize how similar they sound to country music right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. So they're like super folky, and like I don't know if you know With Confidence, but they have a lot of like
Love
folk
With
influence
Confidence.
too. So
Yeah,
there's definitely some crossover there. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what it is, man. I just, they are very similar genres, and I think also lyrically, there's kind of like a lot of times there's almost like a little innocence to the style of lyrics that pop punk writes, and same with country, right? The kind of relationship based lyrics that they write.
Yeah, like in like an internal, external sort of like struggle processing thing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. It's funny to me when I made that realization, because my wife loves country, and I'm not a huge country guy, but when I made that realization, I was like, I guess I am a country guy. uh, And one last question with regards to your music. You said you've got a brand new release coming out here soon. Um, what can we expect? Obviously, without giving away all the awesomeness that's coming our way.
From that new song. Um, so it's called Springtime Allergies, and I don't think that's spoiling anything, but it was the first one I wrote, and it's kind of more so about like pandemic. And I did catch the Rona probably about a year and a half ago, and I lost my sense of smell, and it has not entirely come back yet. So there was like a
No
period,
way.
yeah, like 9 or so months, and I couldn't smell anything. Like, and then when it did come back, all I could smell was hot trash. Everything was hot trash.
Oh no.
So that's kind of referenced in that song a little bit. And then musically, it's weird. I I appreciate how you said I'm genre bending earlier. So I cannot think of a genre except maybe like 70s disco and emo at the same time.
Sick, dude. That actually sounds so fascinating. I'm like, as I listen to your other music, I was like, it is, it's funny because it's kind of a natural evolution of the music. What's his name? Is it now? Does he go by Daisy Face or something? Used to be Weatherly, Blake Roses. He's from Dallas. Well, he lived in Dallas for a while. He's in California now, but he's doing a similar thing with that, with kind of the taking the pop punk and meant like meshing it with different styles, and like I love the idea and the natural evolution of where the scene is going, and I love that you're a part of that. I think it's really exciting, man.
Thank you, man. And yeah, Blake Roses. I actually knew Weatherly's guitarist, Reese. He's a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, I always heard he's really cool. I only know in terms of Blake. I talked to him on the podcast. He was really cool getting to know him. Really talented dude. He's now a producer in LA, and he's producing a lot of pop punk musicians, just really sick. But yeah, he's freaking awesome, super talented guy as well. But yeah, like I said, I'm excited about like the kind of the natural evolution of where things are going with, like Grayscale's new album. I think is one of the kind of pinnacle changes that's gonna really ripple throughout the genre. And it's cool that you're kind of ahead of it too. Like you've been releasing music like this and been a part of this kind of revolution in pop punk emo music. I think it's exciting, man.
Well, thank you, man. So I got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Of course.
What genre do you think pop punk will absorb next? Where do you think pop punk is headed?
So obviously pop punk absorbed the emo rappers, right? I think obviously it was kind of natural with like Nothing Nowhere, Lil Lotus, Machine Gun Kelly, all of those guys, to make the transition, because those guys were scene kids growing up anyway. They were kind of into Bring Me the Horizon. If you hear what they talk about and stuff, they were really into a lot of the post-hardcore or metalcore stuff. So it kind of made sense for them to kind of bend that genre. But I genuinely think that it's the more I don't know, what's the I don't know, like beach style. Like I can't even think of what the genre would even be considered. But the very laid back, breezy style music, like what you're doing, where the vocals are much more natural. There's a little bit of synth in there to complement it, but everything else is kind of while still, like I think Grayscale did a really good job with it, while still being technical, and like their bass parts were actually like in Grayscale's new album, the bass parts were what stood out to me the most. But with all of that coming into play, like I think it's going to be that those runs and the vocals, I think that's going to be a huge thing. Those guys who have a little bit more sultry voices, like Joey Fleming, is that his last name, from In Her Own Words.
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, so that style of vocal where it's got the runs, it's got that ability to have that vibrato and that ability to kind of bend notes and move notes and stuff like that. I think that's kind of the new direction.
Okay. All right. I'll check up on it in a year, and we'll see if your prediction's correct.
Yeah, dude, we'll have to talk again. We'll make sure that we can, because obviously, you're gonna continue making music. I freaking, like I said, I'm a big fan. One of my favorite things about doing this podcast is discovering new music, and it's like as I've listened to your stuff, I'm like, this is great music for when I just need to just sit and relax and just enjoy music that still fits the genre that I enjoy, because that's hard to find. Usually, it's like too upbeat when I want to just kind of chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I like to think that I make music for late night drives. So,
Yes, dude.
I gotta-
That's actually the name of an album of one of my favorite musicians ever. Um, Stephen Christian. Well, I guess it was Anchor and Braille technically, but Songs for Late Night Drive, I think is what it's called.
all right, I'll put that on my list. Sounds like-
Yeah, Stephen Christian is one of my favorite musicians of all time. He's phenomenal. Um, anyway, well, dude, real quick, I know I've obviously taken a bunch of your time already, but I love to end my interviews with just random questions that are, I've just got. They're not random to anyone who listens all the way through, but random for you. Do you still have a couple minutes?
Yeah, I do definitely.
Sick. All right. So this first question comes due to the fact that I am a sugarholic. I eat way too much candy. And obviously Halloween is not helping with that. But what is your favorite candy?
Okay, fruity things. Gummy worms from the gas station. I love gas station trips. So 7-Eleven gummy worms, those are great.
Heck yeah. Dude, have you had Hill Country Farms gummy worms from HEB?
No, we don't have an HEB out here.
No? Dude.
No.
Oh man. At the HEB, it's the HEB brand, right? They have that Hill Country, whatever is the name of their brand. Their gummy worms, I don't know why, but they're the best gummy worms I've ever had. They're amazing.
All right, I'll try them next time I'm in Austin. They have an HEB down there.
Yeah, dude, definitely try it. All right, next one here for you. This one sometimes is hard to come up with a single answer, so I'll let you do your like top 3 or whatever if you can't come up with one. But favorite movie?
Okay, I got one. X-Men Origins Wolverine. The worst movie, but also the best movie.
That's the one with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Oh yeah, not the good Deadpool either.
Yeah,
yes.
that awful Deadpool. Yeah, with the sword arm things that he had.
Yep.
Why do you love that movie so much?
Okay, it was like the first movie I ever purchased on disc, and so I like got all my friends in college together, and I was like, "This movie is great. We have to watch it." And I hadn't seen it yet, and so everyone came over and we were watching it. It was terrible, and so good memories. Terrible movie.
I love that, dude. That's amazing. That's a good choice. Oh man. And all right, next one here for you. Favorite non-music related hobby?
I'll give you top 3. Okay, working on cars, painting, and gardening. I became a plant mom.
Heck yeah, dude. So I always, especially with these ones, I love follow up. With the cars, what kind of work do you do on cars?
So I bought this terrible old van for touring like a couple years ago, and so whatever that thing needs, that's what I do. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to replace everything from like a catalytic converter to like ignition coils, like put a new radiator in there.
Wow.
I'm not good, but I've got it done. It duct tape and spit.
Yeah, I mean, saved you a crap ton of money, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely.
That's amazing. That's a skill that blows my mind. I know how to change brakes, tires, and check oil levels. That's about it.
Hey, that's like all the important stuff, though.
Yeah, I mean, like brakes saves you a ton of money. Just go to AutoZone or whatever and buy the brakes. It saves a bunch, but I mean, that's all the stuff you went into. I'm like, dude, you could like make a side hustle doing stuff like that and make good money.
All right, let me put that on my homework too.
And what like obviously as a plant mom, what are you growing right now? Like obviously fall is starting. You've got to get the ones that are ready for winter. What is that like? Is that potatoes and carrots?
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, so I got some I guess you garden a little bit. I got some carrots going. I got some kohlrabi because it's
What's that?
really good when you grow it. So it's like kale and broccoli,
Oh,
but it
okay.
grows really thick, like a baseball-sized stem, and so that's what you eat. You peel it and eat it.
Oh, interesting. I've never even heard of that. Cool.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't buy it from the store, but if you can find it at like a farmer's market, it's pretty good.
Heck yeah, dude. So you got the carrots, you got that. What was it again?
Kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi. What else you got?
Got some jalapenos are still doing their thing. Got some okra, and then indoor plants. Got like whatever basic indoor plants we got.
Some
And
basil, some like herbs, or you actual like vegetables?
herbs like
Okay, that's what I thought.
catnip. Is that an herb? Yeah.
What was it?
Is catnip an herb? Does that count?
Catnip? Is that a
Yeah.
plant? I've never heard of that.
What? Yeah, yeah. It's the plant that cats like. Like when the cats. Do you not have a cat?
I don't have a cat. No, I don't have any.
Sorry,
I don't have any animals.
I just assumed. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. That's a. I've never heard anyone assume that I have a cat, but I'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah. So cats like go crazy when they touch catnip. It's something about like the chemicals there.
Huh.
So
Fascinating. That's cool, man. Was it the pandemic that got you into it?
oh yeah, and a little bit of loneliness and all those together, and you got plants. And I killed so many. So pour one out for the dead plants.
It's a learning process, dude. Like here in Utah, we grow a few things really well, but not a whole lot of stuff grows well here. So like corn grows like super well here. I think it's probably like I don't know what it is. Maybe the dry climate makes it grow really well. Um, but yeah, like peppers grow pretty darn well here. Berries aren't super great here. They unless you can get a good spot that gets enough sunlight and enough shade. I don't know what it is about berries, but they're kind of tough to grow here. But it's
So you've tried growing those?
yeah, I've tried the strawberry game, and they come out like the size of like a dime. Like it's like that's not a strawberry. It's like that's the size of like the Sour Patch strawberries. It's
Those are
not
good.
great. Oh man. And real quick, one last one here for you. I'm trying to recall. I know I asked you earlier, but I really don't know why I can't remember your answer. Best concert that you've attended.
Okay, now I have to give you the same answer. It's probably gonna change. Okay, I think I said. I think I said Silverstein, but I also
Yeah,
saw
you
Issues.
did. Okay,
They
I
were amazing.
remember now. Yeah.
Yes, and Issues was phenomenal.
That's they're kind of post-hardcore, right?
Yeah, they're uncomfortably a lot like Limp Bizkit. They're like a
Oh, okay.
new metal kind of thing. You should give them a listen. They got some good
Yeah,
stuff.
I've heard of them. I know I saw they were pretty darn huge. They were one of the main stage acts at Warped Tour years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hadn't listened to them, but I've seen their banner. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I know I talk a lot, and I apologize for talking over you at times, but dude, it was really a absolute pleasure getting to know you, and getting to pick your brain a bit. I really really enjoy the music you're making, so keep on killing it, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with me. It was a lot of fun, so thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, like I said, in a year when the pop punk music has evolved a bit, let's talk again. We'll talk about your new music, and then we can see if the genre has changed the way that I think it will.
All right, man. That sounds like a plan.
Awesome, dude. Well, you have a killer night.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye. Awesome. Well, Sam's a really rad guy, and that was a really fun conversation. I recognize my energy is a little high, and I need to do better at matching energy levels. But that was a really fun interview. Still, he's super talented. So be sure to check out South State and go show some love. Facebook, Instagram. Obviously follow on Spotify, and add the music on your playlists and whatnot. And you won't regret